June 30th, he's going to have his man, the Warrior World Champion, Casey Navarro, at his side as Casey defends that championship against Matt Cardona. But of course, right now is that man accompanying Casey. Frank the Clown is here. Hello, Frank.
You mentioned you expect trans to show up at Warrior Wrestling on Friday. The last time I checked, stars get their travel paid for. You, my friend, are not that. So let's not get ahead of ourselves, all right?
I might actually fight Frank the Clown at this point, Jeremy. You might get your wish.
Don't get your hopes up, okay? Because Frank the Clown just doesn't fight anyone, and he most certainly doesn't fight for a cheap amount. And to be honest, you're not much of a draw. So I don't know. Stick to like the pre-show or something. We'll get you one of the students from the local Chicago freelance school, and you can maybe have a little bit of a powwow with them.
Can Casey just like punch him in the face for free? I understand Casey should get paid, but like just come in there, punch him in the face, get him out, done. Light work.
That's something that potentially could be arranged. Okay. We could talk about that off camera.
I think I figured it out. Jeremy, I think what I need to do is I need to start spending all of my time at the front rows of major wrestling events in hopes that I get noticed to become an independent wrestling manager. Jeremy, I think that's the track I need to take.
Look at these shots. Look at these shots that are being fired.
Here's the thing. Frank the Clown has evolved far past just being in the front row. Frank the Clown is now in the front row because he's a star. In the past, Frank the Clown may have potentially been in the front row to get some attention. Frank the Clown's not going to lie about that. But now he's grown so far beyond that. And Frank the Clown, I saw a tweet yesterday from some man named Righteous Reg. You guys may know him, who was asking who is the best unsigned manager in professional wrestling. And of course, many of which were saying it was me and some other people as well. I don't even know who they are. But Frank the Clown has evolved now into the best unsigned manager on the independents. And there's no debate. There are leaps and bounds of everybody else. Frank the Clown has been going from promotion to promotion and main event after main event, winning championship after championship. Nobody else can say they can do that. And this Friday, Warrior Wrestling, Casey Navarro against Matt Cardona. It's going to be no different.
Well, this isn't your first encounter with Matt Cardona. I'm going to take you back to 2021 in September. At a GCW event, you got your ass handed to you by Matthew J. Cardona.
Now, I'm going to explain this. Now, Matt Cardona, I don't even dislike Matt Cardona. The thing is, Matt Cardona gave Frank the Clown an opportunity that night in his hometown of Chicago to main event that show, the GCW War Games show, for the GCW World Championship. Now, Frank the Clown had no idea it was going to be inside of his double steel cage. Also, Frank the Clown had no idea that once he was about to step into the cage, I had taken off my robe and I realized that the mat was covered in glass, broken glass, because Brett Lauderdale is too cheap to have his little minions clean up the ring. So I got in there and I got a little worried. Frank the Clown didn't sign up for broken glass. So I was a little, hesitant, a little apprehensive. And yes, Matt Cardona caught Frank the Clown off guard. And then John Moxley ran down. It was a whole thing. Now, if you were to go and run this back, perhaps we'd have a different outcome. But actually, as the record books show, that was actually Frank the Clown's first singles match he's ever had, and he has not had one since. So I'm trying to get it stricken from the record books. But, who else would get a world championship match in their first ever match in front of a sold-out crowd, in front of in a stupid cage with glass on it? But Frank the Clown did.
Logan Paul couldn't do that. Logan Paul talks all this big game. He had to win matches beforehand. Frank the Clown just got it right off the bat. That's it.
That's what happens. That's what happens. Yeah. But Frank the Clown has not forgiven Matt Cardona for that. He did embarrass Frank the Clown, and now Frank the Clown is going to have to give Casey Navarro an opportunity. And Casey is the blessed. He's the Warrior Wrestling World Champion, and he'll take care of business as he always does.
So listen, Casey has had features written about him by Fightful, by Sean Ross Sapp. You have clearly attached your wagon to Casey Navarro. Tell us why. I know he's the world champion, but tell us what makes Casey that undeniable talent.
In my opinion, Casey Navarro is the best unsigned talent on the independents. If you watch him in the ring, he has incredible athleticism. He's just, when you look at him, you see a star. It's undeniable, his presence, everything that he brings, the charisma, the look. He's in great shape. He's everything that you'd want if you're a TV company looking to, bring someone in to make a true impact. So Frank the Clown, when he sees talent, he's intrigued. It piques his interest. And Casey and Frank the Clown have a lot of similarities. We have a lot of common interest, and it just was a match made in heaven. We blend together so well. We play off each other so well. And, the star power that we both possess is just nobody's ever seen the likes of it before. So we've been doing this at Warrior Wrestling now for it's probably approaching a year. And Casey, time after time, month after month, show after show, goes out there. He puts on an unbelievable display of just athletic prowess. You like that vocabulary? And always comes out on top. And that's why he is the Warrior Wrestling World Champion. Well, the truly blessed. He'll yell at me if I don't do the full thing. The truly blessed Warrior Wrestling World Champion. He's taken it to Australia. He's taken it to Canada. He's defended it from East Coast to West Coast. The man's a fighting champion. Say what you want about him, but he does his work.
Frank, why do you think so many people dislike you? Because Lance Archer is throwing you off of bleachers. Joey Janela is jumping off a goalpost and everything. Like, why are you so hated by everybody? I think you're a nice man. You're very friendly so far with me.
Yes. Contrary to popular belief, Frank the Clown is a very nice man. However, there are many that are jealous of Frank the Clown because, again, Frank the Clown has been around the block for quite some time now. You had seen Frank the Clown in front row of many of shows over the years. You've seen Frank the Clown hugging the best in the world, close personal friend Phil. You've seen Frank the Clown at promotion after promotion. You've seen Frank the Clown on the WWE Network, now Peacock, in a reality television show, Holy Foley, which don't watch it. It's not that great. And people just don't like seeing others succeed. So therefore, naturally, they just are born to hate. They're born to want to hold people back. So guys like Joey Janela, like you said, and the psychopath Lance Archer, Frank the Clown had run-ins with Danhausen and Brian Pillman Jr., a bunch of these AEW jabrones, and they all want a piece of Frank the Clown to maintain a shred of relevancy that they're hanging on to. And they know that Frank the Clown, again, possesses star power, possesses getting buzz on the internet. So therefore, they try to make their name and stay just a little bit relevant off the back of Frank the Clown.
I'm going to take a question from the chat.
Oh,
Chicago superstar and the voice with the most, Val Capone.
Oh my God. Why is that hair? Look at this beautiful mane. It's as clean as can be. It's the roots are coming in a little bit, to be honest. I don't mind the roots, but they're getting a little out of control. Frank the Clown may get it redone in the next few days or so. But I mean, come on. Nobody has hair like this. I mean, it's going down to the middle of Frank the Clown's back. It's just a beautiful, glorious rainbow mane. So Val Capone, I don't know if we can swear on here, so F-U-C-K off.
You can, by the way, swear on here.
Val Capone also says he needs a set of clippers and a muzzle. That's not nice. See, just hated.
Hey, Val Capone, get a life, okay? Why are you watching the show? Get a life.
Val likes us.
I don't like Val.
There are also allegations. Joel Pearl pulled this up as you were on screen, which I didn't appreciate at all, by the way. But the allegations that you cannot fight, which I don't feel like that's true. Joel, you had that up on the screen as Frank was entering the chat. Again, very rude to our guest. But allegations that you can't fight either. And Warrior Wrestling's been in the chat this entire time just burying you. Yeah,
well, Warrior Wrestling is run by a bunch of carnies. And they know Frank the Clown, what Frank the Clown brings to the table. Otherwise, they would keep bringing Frank the Clown back. It's undeniable that Frank the Clown said it once. He'll say it again. But Frank the Clown fights only when he has to. He's a prize fighter. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm the best wrestler in the world, but I can have others do my dirty work for me. And then, yeah, sure, Frank the Clown has to get his hands dirty every so often. He will do so, but it's not necessary. But Joel or a wrestling fan... Frank the Clown in a fight against them, don't let the frame fool you. Frank the Clown is under a very strict workout regimen right now, being trained by an unnamed AEW talent, and it's a very true story. And Frank the Clown will be revealing this beautiful, toned body when he wants to, and then we'll see if people want to fight.
You manage Casey Navarro. Do you have your eye on any other talent that you can take to the next level, like you've done with Casey?
Yeah, I mean, in Warrior Wrestling, I'm leading a faction of great talent known as FTC LLC. It's a great name. It really rolls off the tongue. And in that faction, besides Casey and myself, there's, two hot up-and-coming stars. I don't even like calling them up-and-comers because I think they're pretty well established, especially in the Midwest. Trevor Outlaw and Storm Grayson. Storm Grayson, who's the freelance wrestling world champion. Trevor Outlaw has been everywhere, Black Label Pro. He's a graduate of the Nightmare Factory. They're both spring chickens, but they got some miles under their belt now. And then also Calvin Tankman is a part of FTC LLC, Heavyweight Hustle, former MLW tag team champion. And again, a man that's had championships all over the independents. And also, Frank the Clown has association with Max the Impaler, who, they are quite scary. But Frank the Clown is, cut a deal with Max in exchange for shiny rainbow objects that they'll do, whatever Frank the Clown wants them to do. So, that's Frank the Clown's group at Warrior Wrestling. But, there's a lot of people that Frank the Clown thinks could use a little Frank the Clown in their lives, especially at All Elite Wrestling. Somebody like Abaddon, perhaps. Frank the Clown thinks that he can reel Abaddon in and really kind of unleash that inner potential that's there, that we all know is there, that maybe hasn't been given the proper opportunity. Somebody like Zach Clayton at AEW, a former reality star himself on Jersey Shore, seems like he might be flailing a little bit in AEW, looking for that right opportunity. Frank the Clown, wherever Frank the Clown goes, success follows. And again, there's the Renegade Twins. Nyla Rose, Marina Shafir. There's a lot of people Frank the Clown has his eye on because Frank the Clown's very confident in his abilities to elevate talent and, in turn, elevate Frank the Clown and bring us up to the top where we belong.
How about Puff? Do you have your eyes on Puff? Because once upon a time, he had his eyes on you in a no-ring single light tube death match.
That was not sanctioned, so it does not go on the record books. Again, I've only had the one singles match. It was a non-sanctioned, I guess, fight, if you want to call it. But yes, it was a single light tube death match. Now, Frank the Clown did grab the light tube. He didn't win when you grabbed it. You just got to use it. He wound back. He hit the wall. I hit the wall and exploded all over Frank the Clown. So, I'm not great with light tubes. It's just one of those things. So, it didn't end well for Frank the Clown, admittedly. It was a disgusting, filthy venue in the middle of Dallas, Texas. There's a toilet, literally a toilet in the middle of where these animals would fight. Frank the Clown got paid a lot of money to be there. So, he did it and he was obligated to do so. Puff isn't a bad guy. He's a large guy. Not a bad guy. Significantly large man, but definitely not a bad guy. Just really, really big. But Frank the Clown likes those with great cardio. He can't say that Puff has great cardio because he's a large man. But you will not be seeing Frank the Clown in a single light tube death match again anytime soon. That's for sure.
I figured if your cardio is so big and so good, you wouldn't be making entrances with helicopters like you did in 2021.
Well, why walk to the ring when you could fly to the ring in the helicopter, Joel?
Well, good cardio means that you can show that off a little bit on your way to the ring.
Well, the helicopter didn't land in the ring. It landed in the end zone of the football field, and Frank the Clown did then walk to the ring, walked back to the helicopter, and then left. So he did get his steps in. Maybe not as many steps of the day as he normally does, but he did get his steps in. But that's the thing. Who else has done that? Especially on the independents. Nobody. We've seen Charlotte Flair do it in a pre-tape. We've seen Mandy Rose do it in a pre-tape. Frank the Clown did it live, landed on the football field at Warrior Wrestling. It's the Friday Night Lights show, which, again, is coming this Friday. It'll be out on the football field there in Chicago Heights. If we're being honest, Frank the Clown's not sure if he could top the helicopter again. but I definitely have some things up my sleeve that, I think will make for a great presentation, a great entrance. We're going to use the football field and the outdoor setting to our advantage with KC. And we're going to make sure it's a spectacle. At Warrior Wrestling, Frank the Clown is Mr. Warrior Wrestling. And this is the 30th show of Warrior Wrestling. It's been around for now the better part of 5 years. And Frank the Clown's been on more Warrior Wrestling shows than anybody else. So, we got to go out with a bang here. And, we're the main events for the Warrior Wrestling, KC, the truly blessed Warrior Wrestling World Championship. And Matt Cardona's walking into our turf. It's not Frank the Clown's backyard. So, the atmosphere and the arena, it's our turf. It's our home. So he doesn't know what he's in for.
More allegations here in the chat from Val.
Pinned
you in a freelance ring. Called you a crown. I mean,
she must have misspelled clown. She doesn't know how to spell. She's a stupid woman. And she made me tap. Frank the Clown has no memory of this.
Sounds about right. My last question for you, Frank. Do you have any favorite carnival games?
Definitely not bozo buckets or the one where you hit, you throw the ball at the clown's faces. Frank the Clown doesn't like that. I kind of like, the skee ball count. Frank the Clown's actually great at skee ball.
Skee ball's a great one.
I really excel at all the unusual sports. Ping pong, a great tennis player. I'm a very, very good golfer. And I'm also, a wonderful skee ball player. I believe I could take anybody in the game of skee ball, no matter what arcade, carnival, wherever it may be. Frank the Clown will ski that ball right into the hole.
My last couple of questions. Sorry. Just last
You okay, Joel?
No, last thing I want to think about is Frank the Clown in anything whole. All right. You've been in Warrior Wrestling for a long time. You said it yourself. Let's go back. You had a tag match. You faced RJ City and David Arquette once upon a time.
What a train wreck.
Talk to me about it. Got to talk about the train wreck. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so that was Frank the Clown's first ever professional wrestling match. That was in 2018. It was actually the same weekend as All In, and it was the largest crowd of Warrior Wrestling history. Rey Mysterio was on that show. The card, if you go back and look at it, it's pretty insane. But it was Frank the Clown and James Ellsworth versus David Arquette and RJ City. So if you had watched the documentary, You Cannot Kill David Arquette, David told this whole story of coming back to wrestling to kind of earn the respect and, kind of redeem himself from him ruining the wrestling business 20 years prior by winning the World Heavyweight Championship in WCW. Unfortunately, Frank the Clown, he did some training, but he wasn't maybe fully ready for this, this bout. And David Arquette did wind up pinning Frank the Clown. So, I have the wonderful, wonderful badge of honor that David Arquette pinned me in his, it was his second match back, I believe. So I was his first victory in his little publicity stunt comeback tour for his little documentary. The match was in, layman's terms, again, a train wreck. Frank the Clown had much more, he had many more maneuvers that he was ready to break out, but just didn't get the opportunity. And really, I blame James Ellsworth for the victory. Let's be honest. We don't see much of James Ellsworth anymore. There's a reason why. So, it was a great night. But it didn't end well for us, but it was a learning experience, and that's all that really counts. But Frank the Clown's not forgiving David Arquette, but RJ City, not a bad guy. No heat there.
He's Canadian though.
That's true, I guess. Never mind. He's mediocre then.
Friday Night Lights, Warrior Wrestling. It's this Friday. World champion Casey Navarro will be brought to the ring by Frank the Clown. He's going to take on Matt Cardona. Elsewhere on the card, you're going to see Sky Blue, Warhorse, Konosuke Takeshita, a whole group of people. Go check out Warrior Wrestling anywhere. My last question, my last comment, my last concern, Frank the Clown. I need you to say two nice things about Warrior Wrestling.
Oh, my God. Oh, boy. Well, firstly, Warrior Wrestling, it's written in Frank the Clown's contract. He has to do media obligations, which is why he's here right now. Frank the Clown's actually on a little bit of a getaway. He's in Branson, Missouri right now. There's a beautiful view that you cannot see right now, and he had to take time out of his morning. He has to go outside on the patio because his girlfriend's sleeping still, which she's definitely not sleeping because Frank the Clown's loud. So she's probably very upset and in a bad mood, and that's the last thing we want to see. But two nice things about Warrior Wrestling. Well, the carnies that run Warrior Wrestling, they do often give Frank the Clown a microphone. Maybe Frank the Clown rips it away from them or forces them or doesn't ask for permission. He rather asks for forgiveness, but he doesn't even do that. So, that's cool. And they've also allowed FTC LLC, the hottest faction of the independents, to, run roughshod. And Frank the Clown will go ahead and handpick some of these matches for his clients so they can kind of climb the ladder and move up those rungs to get to the top of Warrior Wrestling and to the top of professional wrestling in general. So, one of the best things about Warrior Wrestling is when I leave Warrior Wrestling, I get paid. So that's one of the big highlights of it for me. And, I really only do merch and meet and greets at Warrior Wrestling because, again, it's written into the stupid contract. But Frank the Clown makes a lot of money there. The marks are just ready. They're just like, oh, my God, let's buy a micro brawler. Let's buy a T-shirt. And it's amazing. But it's very, I do it for like an hour at best. So really it's just the money and the money. So the carnies that run it, no good. They're just egotistical, power-hungry maniacs. So Frank the Clown is not that, in case you haven't heard.
I think that was two nice things. They give him a mic and they pay him. There you
That's
go.
really
Two
all
nice
Frank the
things.
Clown wants at this point in his life. A microphone and money, both equal power. In the hands of Frank the Clown, they mean more than anything else.
Those were nice things that benefit Frank. Those aren't nice things about Warrior Wrestling.
They're still nice things.
What benefits Frank the Clown also benefits Warrior Wrestling.
Benefit yourself and plug your stuff, Frank.
Frank the Clown, you can find him at Frank the Clown _ on Twitter and Instagram. He posts wonderful things on there. In case you haven't forgotten, Frank the Clown, in case you forgot, Frank the Clown is the best manager on the independents. For those little indie bums that, don't have that buzz right now and you feel like you need someone to lead you to the promised land, you could DM Frank the Clown. He may or may not answer, probably not. But if he catches eye, perhaps Frank the Clown and you could work out a deal. And again, Warrior Wrestling 30, Friday Night Lights. It's live on YouTube this Friday. We're not on some shitty streaming service that nobody's watching. We're going to be on YouTube. So there's really no excuse. It's free, 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern. It's going to be a great night of wrestling. You named a couple of the wonderful not talent that are going to be there. But most importantly, the main event of the show is Matt Cardona, the indie god. Ooh, he loves his action figures. Let me tell you something about Matt Cardona. Frank the Clown has a much larger Funko Pop collection than Matt Cardona has a Hasbro collection. And Frank the Clown will bet on that against his truly blessed Warrior Wrestling World Champion, Casey Navarro. It's going to be a spectacle, and I suggest everybody watches it. So don't watch Friday Night SmackDown. The Tribal Chief, no, don't turn into him. Turn into the Tribal Clown.
Thank you, Frank. Frank was great, Joel. Everybody watch Warrior Wrestling this Friday. Thank you, Frank. Enjoy the rest of your day, man.
I can't wait.
I mean, you're
Branson,
in Missouri.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in better places, to be honest. But I had a wonderful night on the water on a boat yesterday. And today we're going to have a wonderful steak dinner and going to get some breakfast now. So Frank the Clown must leave. Frank the Clown
Okay,
must
how do
leave.
you like it? Wait. How do you like your steak? Gotta ask this.
Medium rare. What kind of question is
Okay.
that?
All right.
Jesus
Like,
Christ.
I'm not-
Think I'm going to say well done? Yeah, you out of your mind?
No, absolutely
Oh,
not.
I get
No.
Is Joel coming to Warrior Wrestling? Are you guys coming? Because you said he was going to fight. Is anybody from Fightful going to be there?
Maybe a show in the future. Maybe a show in the future. We will be there, and you can punch Joel Pearl in the face.
I'll hold you to that. Email.
All
You
right.
got my email. Okay. Email my assistant. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Frank.
I'm sure we will.
Goodbye, Marks.